Hey there, how you doing? Charlie Winters here with horse racing tips for Saturday the 23rd of May. Well, we had a few run well yesterday and the last couple let us down really. But let's get on to Saturday because as I said yesterday, there's some very interesting horses. I also think there will be possibly a pace bias and also, I think it's right. Well, I think we need to stay on the right side of a possible draw bias as well. So I'm going to give you my opinions. I'm going to keep it as brief as I can. So let me get into it. So I've had a 5p each way, lucky 63, taking the prices because currently that is all that Skybet will let me do. So what I'm going to do, instead of attempting to take SP, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have another 5p each way at SP, but basically I'm going to take the prices just before the first race, which is something a little bit similar. It gives the prices a chance to settle down, to drift, or they might even shorten. But yeah, it's quite clear that Skybet are offering probably much shorter prices and won't let you take the SP in the morning. Definitely on multiples anyway. So let me get into it. So the first selection it's Cool Molly in the 125 at Goodwood, paying 6 places, 18 to 1. I think it's a decent price. It'll probably drift because it probably should be about 25 to 1, but 18, I can take that for time being. So Cool Molly, it's in decent form, and it's been in decent form on the all-weather, although it ran well at Chester on its first try on the turf. This horse races prominently. I think it's a bit quirky, but you've got Shea Farmer. I believe he's taking £7 off. This horse has drawn 6. It should go straight to the front, and it's over 7 furlongs at Goodwood, and there's 17 runners. You can guarantee there's going to be an awful lot of horses getting in each other's way. So I'd sooner be out in front, and it does look a little bit tenacious, this horse, where it does look like it rallies, and it's got quite a lot of speed. So hopefully, I know it's difficult to say in a 17-runner field, but hopefully he gets an easier lead as possible, and hopefully there's trouble in behind. The next selection this is the horse I was talking about yesterday, and it is Yes, I'm Marley at 10 to 1 in the 130 at York. So this is 6 furlongs. So what tends to happen with the draw bias is, well, yesterday it was good to soft ground at York. It's been drying up. It's probably going to be good to firm, even if not nearly good to firm all over, but it won't be the same all over. Normally it dries a bit patchy, let's just call it. So normally when it's pelting it down on the day, excuse me, I'm going to start choking now. when it's chucking it down on the day, they normally come near side. However, when it's been chucking it down the day before, but been drying out for the following day's racing, it tends to favour low numbers. So you are inconvenienced by racing to the near side normally with high numbers, and it gradually favours lower numbers. So what happens is, when they're on the straight course at York, they'll normally go in an arrow formation, straight down the middle, but then you'll even notice that even the pin or the point of the arrow tends to edge over towards the far side. So it's currently good ground, it says, at York. Good ground, I believe good to firm in places. Those places, I believe, are edging more towards the low numbers, which is middle to far side. Yes, I'm Marley is drawn 11, which is basically nearly smack in the middle of this field. There's 21 runners. So this horse, Yes, I'm Marley, it always runs up with the pace, travels pretty well. It does tend to move around once it hits the front. However, it travelled pretty well in a race at Newbury in a Class 2, just fading towards the end. That was at Newbury. This horse has got decent form at York, but that was mainly for Richard Fahey. But it seems to be back in the right direction. Now it's trained and ridden by David O'Meara and Daniel Tudhope. So I fully expect this horse to be very prominent. I don't think it'll lead because it doesn't really want to lead, but it'll be right on the shoulder of the front horses. It's drawn 11, smack down the middle, and I think it's got a decent chance. At Newbury last time, it was a Class 2 race it ran in. This is now a Class 4 race, and it did travel pretty well in that race at Newbury. So I think it's got an excellent chance. There will be horses that come from behind, but I just think this horse might get first run on quite a few of them. I think it'll be a case of that final furlong will seem a very long furlong. The next selection is Penny Time in the 220 at Haydock. Right, I'm trying. Right, I need to click on it. I need a quick reminder. Right, I can tell you all about this. So Penny Time has been doing really well on the all-weather. It won a race, then it carried a penalty in its next race. But that race is turning out quite well because there was a John Gosden horse that ran in that race called something like Harmonics. Well, that Harmonics won the other day at a kind of messy Southwell race. It does look like it's got a bit of talent, that Harmonics, and I think it might have been a warmish race. Well, Penny Time was carrying 9 stone 11 in that race, and there was a horse that won the race, trained by Ed Bethel, that was given a Racing Post rating of 96. Well, that's pretty decent on the all-weather, to be fair. So Penny Time, I believe, if it can transfer its ability over to the turf, well, 22-1 is a crazy price. So it's just a case of waiting and seeing, to be fair. But I did want a horse that raced prominently, and Penny Time normally does that. The next selection is Reigning Prophet at 12-1 in the 240 at York. So this is drawn, I believe it's 9. So it's similar to the Yes, I'm Marley. So it needs to be, in my opinion, drawn middle to low, ideally in the middle, because they do come down the middle and then they will probably edge towards the far side, which is low numbers. I may be wrong, but that is how it normally works out when the ground is drying. So Reigning Prophet, it actually came a short-head second when I fancied it one time at 50-1 at Ascot. I just thought that day, I thought, why is Ruth Carr taking this to Ascot for no reason at all? And I thought, well, it seems to be meeting trouble in running quite a few times. And all of a sudden, it pretty much nearly made all. Well, this horse has got a lot of speed, but generally, they don't race it like that anymore. When it was rated in the low 50s and 60s, it used to like smash out and make all. Now, it's normally held up mid-division, and it normally finds loads of trouble. Well, I'm thinking on this straight York 5 furlongs, it's a little bit more difficult, especially from a good draw, to find too much trouble. It's Warren Fenterman on board, claiming, I think it's 3. Decent jockey, in my opinion, good northern jockey, and I think this one's got a decent chance. Ruth Carr is very good at York with basically the hand that she's dealt with. The next selection is First Instinct in the 330 at Haydock. I think this price should be a lot bigger than what it actually is. This horse is trained by William Haggis. It's got an outside chance. It should be way bigger. In my opinion, it should be 20s. But I've had to take the price just so I could put the bet on. So that's a bit disappointing. But as I said, I will put the rest of the bet on closer to the race time. I'll also be having a little bit each way on all the selections. Well, this horse, I did see yesterday at Haydock that they were really struggling to get home. It looked like it was quite tacky. They weren't kicking a great deal up, but it's just the ones that didn't stay the trip yesterday definitely didn't stay the trip yesterday. And any question marks over the trip, and they didn't stay it. In that last furlong, and they kept saying on the commentary, you're talking 14-second last furlongs. That's pretty slow. So the ground's still been drying, but I just think that if it gets tough in that last furlong again, First Instinct is normally flying at the finish. I just hope it can pick up out these kind of like deadish ground. The next selection is, and the final selection is Stellar Vision at 16-1 in the 350 at York. So the angle I'm going with here, so we all know that Newmarket can be a tricky course. If your horse is keen, you are struggling because they can become very imbalanced very easily. Going down the hill, then coming up the hill. So this horse has only 3 runs on the turf have been at Newmarket. It's ran very well at the Craven meeting when it looked like winning, and it just faded into 3rd. Well, you haven't got that hill at York, so hopefully it can keep going. It likes to race prominently, but in its last run, I think they tried to ride it with a bit more restraint. Well, it didn't work because the horse was keen and it was all over the place. It was imbalanced. It was like jumping up in the air, sideways, and then it dropped to last. Then it ran on a little bit. Still, I think it still came last. I just think there's way more to this horse. And I think this more galloping track, possibly speed favouring track at York, where I would definitely expect it to come in the first 4. And I expect it to point its toe like it did on its first run back at the Craven and be quite difficult to catch because it's got a lot of speed. And I'm thinking if it goes a couple of lengths clear, this horse, yeah, don't get me wrong, it might be rolling all over the place, but generally at York, they can like just roll to the line. They can get away with not quite stopping because it's just flat. So yeah, I think Stellar Vision can get away with it. And I also think that for a horse that keeps pulling hard or keen and can become imbalanced, having 3 runs, it's only 3 runs on the flat at Newmarket. I don't think we've seen the best of it. Its only win was at Wolverhampton on the all-weather. It's only had 4 runs in its life. I just think there's a bit more to this Stellar Vision. And I think Sean Williams is definitely a trainer in the last few years on the up. He used to be just known for having these huge gambles. But now I think he trains a lot more winners than he used to. And I think he's become quite a decent trainer. And I think he's got quite a few runners today. And I think he's got some very good horses on his hands. But I just think this Stellar Vision, on only its 5th run, has got more to come. And I think this York speed favouring track will suit it. So those are the 6 selections for Saturday. So let me know in the comments if you've got any opinions or any other fancies. So I wish you the very best of luck. Charlie Winters, over and out. Cheers, mate.